So, what is going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at SH Figuarts Trunks from Dragon Ball Super, aka the drink. If you know, you know. It's fine. But this here is the Super version of Trunks, not the Z version, which, I mean, like most people, I think everyone mostly prefers the Z design. But who has a better figure between the two? Let's find out. If I'm not mistaken, Premium Bandai, I think. He came in a mailer, which I've only had with Premium Bandai. He was mint in sealed box, though. Yeah, I opened it because I wanted this figure, mostly because, again, I like Trunks. He's one of my favorite characters from Dragon Ball. Probably is my second favorite to Piccolo, so only makes sense. And I mean, I'm not as big on this design, but this figure has a lot of cool things about it. And I mean, it's just really cool. Again, back of the box, we just see very cool stuff. Let's get the tray out. And getting the tray out here, we have a couple of things. Heads, hands, power effect, sheath, broken sword, also stand bits on the back, which is pretty much custom with all these older ones, weirdly enough. A lot of the older figuarts I get tend to have them. It's like they didn't want to do a second tray back then. It's kind of weird because it's only happened with, I believe, Kid Goku, Gotenks, Frieza, the old Frieza, not the new one. And, yeah, that's basically it. Like, they've all had the little baggie on the back that has parts in it. That's basically how it goes. Anyway, that's the tray. And here is Trunks, or the drink. The package. This isn't the drink. We know who the real drink is. That's Z Trunks. This is Super Trunks, which there's a lot with this design that's like, obviously the pants are like the exact same, so that's not really an issue. It's just mostly the jacket and the hair. That's my main issue with Super Trunks, is his hair color being blue. Because yes, while it makes sense because Bulma has blue hair, he had purple hair, and they just changed it. I'm not sure if it's the manga thing, because again, as I mentioned in the Superhero Piccolo review, sometimes they tend to change the certain aspects and colors, like Piccolo in the manga has yellow on his arms instead of the pink of the anime, and I'm not sure if in the manga Trunks had blue hair and then had purple, because I know there's a version of Bulma that has purple hair and then instead of the blue, and that's the manga one if I'm not mistaken, or it's like an early version of Bulma. It's really strange. Either way, here he is, and he looks pretty solid. I mean, the paint on him's pretty good. Got the buttons all picked out. He got all that. He does have a port on the back. He does have a bit of battle damage on his left side, and only his left side. The right side's fine. On his left side, though, you have this bit of the rip in the pants, along with in the elbow area, which kind of looks a little funny in the pants, because there's like, why is there this? Why is there just a little bit of flesh? I was like, what's that all about? I then figured out, oh, it's because it's a rip. His boots, very similar to the new Trunks, but it is pretty much the same foot kind. It's not the same mold, obviously, but the design's pretty close. The whole lower body's pretty close, if I'm being honest. It's mostly just the upper parts. And I mean, as far as it goes, he's just kind of a lot smaller. He's really skinny. Again, he is an earlier 2.0, so I guess that would be why. And I mean, it's pretty good. He has an absolute boatload of accessories, as we've seen. But there's one main accessory that needs to be talked about, which we're going to get out of the way first. And we're not going to put the hands on him because I'm kind of scared to break this one. That's the sheath, which in my Trunks review I said is kind of the biggest issue of the old one. This one doesn't have that issue. It's really strange. Now, it is technically pretty easy to get this one on there. All you gotta really do is come to the head, rip that off, and pretty much give them the half head. That'll fit over perfect, just like that. Or you can remove the head, which, again, scary. Don't want to do that, but, I mean, for the sake of this review and how I have him posed, I will. Anyway, this pegs in to the back, to that port I mentioned earlier on the back. It pegs in. So it actually stays, unlike the new one, where it's just kind of there. And typically, the part down here just always pops. This is the same type of thing. This actually feels a lot stronger. It's not as flimsy feeling. But the only issue I have with this one is you have to use the half sword as the sword hilt in the sheath. It's not a joke. That's the one you have to use. Kind of lame in my opinion. Kind of wish we could have had the other one, but I guess so. Give it a use. Why not? I mean, it's there. It's cool. I mean, I like the look of him with the sword. It makes him more complete, obviously. And this little part here can be raised up a little bit to allow the strap to go underneath of it. Very, very nice. Very cool. Very awesome. But let's talk about the hands before we get into all the cooler accessories, because hands. Obviously, starting with hands, we have the fists, which are fun, and why not? But let's talk about the other ones that we're not going to put on, because I'm only going to put 2 on. That being Ki Blast, of course, because Ki Blast is Ki Blast, and this one, which is an individual left, which is kind of like just a neutral hand. Doesn't come with 2, only comes with 1. Not sure, that's a wrong hand. That's a different one. But, yeah, I don't know why he only comes with 1 neutral. It makes no sense. It's kind of weird. But let's put on those 2 hands I'm actually going to put on them. And the hands we're going to put on them are the more obvious ones, which is the sword-wielding hand and open grip. But not really, because this open grip has a hole in the palm. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, yes, yes. They didn't include a different hand for his power effect. His right open grip just has a hole in it. I'm not joking. No reason. Just did that. Why? Who knows? Speaking of power effect hand part, you get this little orb, which isn't fun to put into his hand, if I'm being honest. It kind of, like, wiggles in. It's really tight. There we go. It pegged in. And again, it's kind of weird, too, because it's, like, a little bit out of his hand. I think it's mostly so you can do the pose on the box, which is really interesting, I guess. But, again, it's kind of a weird little piece, if I'm being honest. It's just a weird post. It's not as normal as the other ones that are around. And, of course, with his other hand, he can wield the sword, because, well, you can't not have a sword come with Trunks. That's kind of his whole thing, right? Well, except Kid Trunks. Here is the sword, the actual sword, that is. Green wrapping on the hilt. Sword, very nice silver, if I'm being honest. Looks really cool. The little knob on the end here does come off, similar to the other one, which I'm going to place this down and hopefully not lose it into the void. But the only issue I have is the hand is not as nice. It doesn't go in. The sword doesn't go in as nicely as the old one. Luckily, they had the foresight to note that you are probably going to be wiggling the sword into his hand, opposed to just kind of, you know. So they didn't paint the green wrapping. The sword is sculpted green. We're going to put this off to the side, I guess. There that is. It's broken. If you looked at the back of the box in that opening part, you know what that's for. And probably the main reason you'd want this version opposed to the new one. Actually, that's not the only reason. But he does come with this, and it looks really good. It's a sword. I love my sword characters. That's just one thing about me that I'll always love is my sword-wielding characters. Which is why, if you watch any of my reviews, you should probably note any Transformer usually gets 3 pictures. Unless they have a sword, they end up with more. That happens every time, and it even happens with figuarts, I've noticed. Or just the ones I have a lot more fun with, really. But that is that. But we're not done yet. We're not talking about the sword power effect until last. I know. We have faces, of course. And with this one, you get this generic, you know, neutral face. It's whatever. That's just neutral Trunks. And as you've seen earlier, you can remove the bangs, much per usual. Remove the faceplate, which is not pegging on like usual. Usually the pegs are on the other one. And the yelling face, which is really tight to go on for some reason, goes on there like that. So you can have that. And I don't really like that. It is kind of iffy. His neck is like rotated. Come on, Trunks' neck. There we go. I don't know. It looks kind of funny. It looks a little wonky to me. I don't know. I just don't like that face. The neutral's not bad. It's just this one looks a little wonky, and I don't know why. especially in comparison to the Super Saiyan head sculpt. So yes, this one has a Super Saiyan head sculpt, which, again, pop the head off, spookiest thing you could ever do, if I'm being honest. His neck is really loose, and I don't know why. Again, what I usually do here to put on heads is remove the faceplate and the bang piece and attempt to put that on. This is going to be spooky. There we are. Ugh. I hate doing that. I really do. His head's not as, like, nice to come off as certain other figures I own with swappable heads. It's like it doesn't want to. Anyway, you get two faces for the Super Saiyan. You get the yelling face, which, again, looks much better for some reason on the Super Saiyan one. It actually looks pretty good, if I'm being honest. Maybe it's just because I'm used to this one, because I've had him with it on the whole time since I've had him, basically. But, yeah, the Super Saiyan one looks 10 times better. And then the other one you get is the other generic face. So, technically, you get two yelling faces. And, much like the other one, there we are. That one didn't want to go on either. You have the teeth grit, but looking to the right for some reason. Why is he looking to the right? What's up with that? Why is he looking to the right? Either way, it looks pretty good. I don't know why they would include that. Why wouldn't he just be looking forward? Because he only has 2 faceplates per head, so it's kind of a little strange. They make him look to the right. Next up is something a little more specific, though, to this broken sword part. That being the giant effect piece, and probably the main difference between this and the new San Diego Comic-Con version, other than the color scheme, of course. The giant sword piece. Yes, you know the one. This is the one from when he cuts Zamasu in half, and the new one doesn't come with it. It just goes on like that, and yes, it is heavy. It's very heavy. It's gigantic. God, that looks cool, though. But, remember that baggie on the back of the tray? Well, it comes with these parts, and these parts are so you can, like, hold it up, I guess, kind of. Doesn't need to, really. I had him posed with 2 hands going at one point, and it did work. But, you know, if you want to, I guess, be securely there like that, kind of. Come on, it's a really strange slope. Why is it sloped like this? It's like, you know, you gotta have it a specific way. Don't make sense. You know, turn it and... Nope, that's not gonna work. It's a specific peg. Really? Really? Come on now. Anyway, this is supposed to hold it, but only at a certain angle, and it's kind of meh. If I'm being honest, I love the sword effect, though. It looks so cool. I have the Dragon Stars one, too. The Dragon Stars one ain't got nothing on this one. This one's a lot thinner. It's really nice. It's just a good part, and it's one of those big things from Super, and it's a really cool thing to have. Because, again, the new version, the San Diego Comic-Con one that came out this year, excludes a lot, which I didn't really talk about. But that's just the accessories. So let's just kind of talk about the articulation and all that stuff. You know, we're going to get to the thoughts on it soon. He has a ball joint in the head and neck. You're mostly getting neck motion, though, more than the head. Squeaky. You got forward and back, outward, double elbow joint. The elbow's a little tight. Ball jointed wrist, which has pretty good motion, actually. The mid area here, I'm forgetting the name of this. Diaphragm joint, very, very good. Rotations. Forward, back. I heard that these are prone to breaking, so that's cool. Knee joint, very good knee joint. Hilt at the ankle. Ball joint and toe bend, but not very deep. Kind of a crappy toe bend, if I'm being honest, but I don't really ever use it. I say I don't use it, but I've actually used it a couple times lately, so, I mean, yeah, that's basically it for Super Trunks here, or the drink. So let's just get to my final thoughts on him, which are, yeah, he's actually really solid, and there's a lot that this one does that I think it does better than the new one, but there's also a lot I think the new one does better than this one. For one, head swaps, it's way too tight and it's really scary. Same thing goes for wrists. It's an older figure. That's most likely why. The other thing, again, I mean, I guess they had to use the sword, the broken sword. It was going to show up, but the pictures are probably still flashing. But they had to use a broken sword somehow, but I wish the actual sword fit into the sheath. That's just my opinion. I mean, the faceplates, I appreciate it. I kind of wish there might have been a couple more, but I guess I'm fine with them not, because they actually included a lot with this figure. The stand, kind of useless, if I'm being honest. Wish it had just been another one, or at least some kind of different design. I mean, it's alright. Head sculpts are great, in my opinion. I like the blue-haired one, except for the yelling face, which just looks kind of wonky. But the Super Saiyan one, in my opinion, looks phenomenal. I love how spiky it is. It looks really good, in my opinion. The way that the sheath works, I wish they had have carried that over to the new one. But they didn't, because, again, the jacket's a little bit rubbery on the new one. Whereas this one's just the body, I guess. But again, it's just a better system than the new one, and that's like the one main thing I have to say. The new one does do a lot better, though, in a couple regards, but this one does have a blast effect, which, two effects, which really boosts it. Now, again, like I was saying earlier about there being a new version of this guy, specifically the new version is the San Diego Comic-Con color edition, you know, like they always do. It's just a repaint, basically with interesting colors, and he's way too pale from what I've seen. He doesn't come with the big sword, he doesn't come with the powered down head, but he does come with the effect part, I guess, so you're not getting, like, the cool parts of him, you're getting, like, the basic stuff, and he has the metallic translucent hair that I like, that some people don't, but that's besides the point. As far as it goes with him, though, I mean, there's not really much missing. Again, maybe a couple faceplates. That's it, really. Like, I know people expect stands sometimes. I wish this guy had a better stand. It's not just for the big sword. But hey, what are you gonna do? I think this guy's pretty good, and I think if you can get your hands on him for a reasonable price, he's not a reasonable price, by the way. I got mine for $150. Actually really cheap, because otherwise, $260 was his going rate from what I was seeing on eBay. He was not cheap. I got him and the Super Broly that I recently reviewed, the final Broly that I needed. Well, yeah, final. I'm not getting the event exclusive. That one's way too expensive. But yeah, I got them together for $300. I got them for $150 a piece, which is kind of a deal on both of them, honestly. But that is really it for this review. This has been my review of SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Trunks, Super Trunks. It's just Trunks on the box. Or the drink. It's been Ilthai the Lead signing out.